Port St. Lucie are dwindling to a precious few. Opening day just 2 weeks away, and just a few more days for the kids to come out to Digital Domain Park, and for some of the older folks, too, to take in a game. Did I say old?
I'm very excited.
At Digital Domain Park in Port St. Lucie, Florida, the New York Mets play the Houston Astros. New York Mets spring training on SNY is presented by Citi. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Digital Domain Park. I'm Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez alongside, as the Mets take on the Houston Astros. 2 weeks from today, the Mets open their season at Citi Field against the Atlanta Braves. And one of the fervent hopes for the Mets as they move through spring training was that Johan Santana would be ready for that opening day start. Now, Terry Collins has not committed to anything yet, but yesterday was an enormous step for Johan, going 6 innings against the Cardinals.
Well, I saw him pitch the previous start, and he wasn't impressive, not good with his location, but this one was a complete turnaround, a big step forward for Johan. 6 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts, 69 pitches, which means he was in complete command. Had to get his further pitches on the side, so he was just tremendous, and that's a big sign, good sign for the Mets.
He'll throw his bullpen tomorrow, get ready for his next start. He has 2 more before opening day, if that comes to pass. Meanwhile, the Mets are trying to get David Wright back in the lineup. David has not played a game yet this spring because of a small abdominal tear, and he took a big step forward today. He took batting practice on the field for the first time.
Well, he said after BP that it felt fine. We're going to take a look at him fielding here. He's been doing this most of the spring, but he's throwing now, and the BP was most important. And he said after his, as I said earlier, he said he was fine, felt nothing, no pain. And that's another big step for the Mets. They need that guy playing third base.
And it looked like he had full extension on his swing, and that's what you worry about with that abdominal tear.
Well, I've never had one, and it's a lot of, a swivel in your hips there, and you worry about that.
So David is back on the field and hopefully back in the lineup by sometime over the weekend or early next week. By the way, I know that you love Keith's smile. I know the audio is not quite up to snuff. We apologize for that. We'll get it back as soon as we can. It's the Mets and the Astros from Port St. Lucie. All the action coming your way on SNY.
A true leader stays ahead of the competition. During the Leadership Sales Drive, get a Ford Edge with best
Is brought to you by Citi, by Budweiser, by Toyota. Hurry in, it's Toyota's #1 for everyone sales event, Toyota. And by WB Mason for amazingly low prices on office supplies. Who but WB Mason? Follow the Mets with the MLB.com at Bat 12 for your iPhone, iPad, and Android. Get spring training scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more. Text that BAT to 31826 or visit Mets.com for details. Let's take a look at the Lexus Mets defense. 4 starters in the game today. Matt Dendecker will play center field. Now, Andres Torres hurt his calf muscle on Tuesday night going after a fly ball. He says that he expects it'll be just a few days, but if Torres isn't ready to go opening day, Keith, there are a lot of options out there for Terry Collins.
Well, you know, Adam Lowen has had a wonderful spring. He's got a shot out there. Been getting a lot of looks in center field. Mike Baxter is trying to make this ball club also. Jason Bay has said that he'd like to go over to center field. He's willing to go over to center field, and even considering Jordani Valdespin, who's never played center field. The one thing these guys, 4 guys, have in common is they're not natural center fielders. The only one really is in the lineup today, and that's Matt Dendecker.
And he's probably not ready to play in the big league. Split his year between single A and double A last year. Valdespin's interesting because he's a good athlete, but he's never played the outfield at all. So these are the things you try and figure out in spring training. All right, Dickey makes the start when we come back. Here in Port St. Lucie, 84 degrees as we approach game time. There's your Toyota starting lineup for the Houston Astros. The recognizable name in the middle is Carlos Lee, but there's going to be a lot of very unrecognizable names for the Astros who are trying to rebuild. They lost 106 games last year. They have a new owner. They have a new general manager, and they are trying to reconstruct their team. The guy at the bottom, Wandy Rodriguez, might be the most available of all the Astros. There's Brett Mills now in his 3rd year as the skipper with Houston and trying to take a step forward this year after just 56 wins a year ago. Terry Collins has 2 weeks to get his team ready for opening day. And as we mentioned in the open, having Santana pitch the way he did yesterday is a big step. But all along, if Santana wasn't ready for opening day, this guy was waiting in reserve.
Well, R.A. last year, if you recall, got off to a shaky start and really righted the ship. Had a terrific second half. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, which is unusual for a knuckleballer. He's 0-1 this spring so far, and this is his third start. His ERA is over 6, but, you know, it's spring training. Everybody's getting tuned up.
And, you know, you mentioned the slow start R.A. got off to last year, but the finish was spectacular.
It sure was. And it wasn't just a flash-in-the-pan finish. It was a good, solid, the last 18 starts were solid for him.
12 straight quality starts to end the year. That tied for the longest stretch in the National League all year last year. There you go, after May 20th. And it was really after he hurt his foot in Chicago. And he just seemed to tone down his delivery a little bit to compensate for the foot, and it worked out brilliantly for him. He pitched wonderfully the rest of the year. J.B. Shuck will lead off for the Astros. Shuck, who played most of last year in Oklahoma City. There you see his numbers. Not a power guy. In fact, didn't hit a home run in the majors or the minors last year. Had 81 at-bats with the Astros and hit .272. And while he probably will not be the opening day center fielder for the Astros, he is at least a candidate. And the first pitch of the day by Dickey is a fastball for a strike, and it's 0-1.
Well, there's a lot of spots open on this Houston Astro ball club, and the bullpen, a lot of things are up for grabs for them. If you look at their starting rotation, you know, the young man that's pitching today, was 11-11 on a team that lost 106 games.
Slapped to short. Tejada waits on it and throws out Shuck for the first out of the afternoon.
Nope, Brad Mills has got his work cut out for him. This is a team that is in transition, has dropped ticket sales, the price of tickets, price of concessions, to try to get the fans to come back and watch this team.
Of course, it's a transitional year for the Astros as Angel Sanchez hits one out to center and Dendecker has it measured. And quickly there are 2 outs because this is going to be the 50th and last year that the Astros play in the National League.
That's right. They will go into the new realignment. They will run into the American League West, I believe, correct? Which is a long way for them to go. I mean, Houston...
Well, it puts them in the same division as Texas, which they like, but it was very interesting, the comments by Lance Berkman this week, the noted former Astro, who said that the new owner, Jim Crane, was basically railroaded into accepting the move to the American League. And it's taken for a strike, 1-1. And Crane very diplomatically said, well, it saved us some money. They gave us a better break because we took that deal. But he said, frankly, there was no other deal available to us. Major League Baseball said, this is the deal. You're moving to the American League. And it's taken inside, 2-1 to J.D. Martinez. Dickey making his fourth start of the spring. And the knuckleball hit right back to R.A., so a very strong start for Dickey in the opening inning. He throws just 8 pitches and gets the Astros 1-2-3. Mets come to bat when we come back.
Rodriguez takes the mound for the Astros this afternoon, a guy the Mets have always had trouble with, particularly in Houston. And Ruben Tejada will lead off for New York. Ruben just back a couple of days ago from a groin injury that set him back about 10 days. There's Wandy's numbers.
That's pretty good numbers for pitching for a team that lost over 100 ball games.
Tejada gets a hold of one, deep left field. Back goes Martinez, right back at the wall, and it's out of here. How about that? Ruben Tejada, who did not hit a home run last season, has one major league home run to his credit. It's his first of the spring. And the Mets are out to a 1-0 lead. His only home run came 2 years ago at Wrigley Field. 328 at bats last year without one. A little stronger in the upper body this year, and he slugged it.
Well, he put on around 10 pounds. You can see he's a lot thicker upstairs. And we've had these prevailing winds blowing out off the ocean out to left field, but that ball was crushed. Didn't need any wind to help that one get out of here.
Well, Tejada put in the leadoff spot with Andres Torres out. There's Daniel Murphy, and he fights one off. I talked to Terry Collins a few weeks ago and said if Torres does not make it as your leadoff hitter, who's your next choice? And he said it's Ruben Tejada. He had a 360 on base percentage last year.
Well, it's going strictly on that. Mets will lose a lot of speed. They're not a speedy team by any stretch of the imagination. And really, we talked earlier in spring, Gary. Remember with Ronnie, and said if we'll take a look at the Mets, the Geico Mets lineup right here. Tejada, of course, the leadoff home run. Murphy's going to hit in that 2-hole all year long. I like him in that spot. He's a good hit and run guy.
And of course, you look up and down the guys who are going to play every day, and where else would you go for a leadoff hitter? The only other guy would be Murphy, because you know he's going to get on base consistently, but you like him better in the 2 spot or further down on the line.
I would like to find another 2-hitter actually to hit second and have Murphy hit third for this ball club, to be honest with you. That would be the perfect world.
So would that be Tejada hitting second behind Torres?
If he's hot, maybe you can do that. Remains to be seen.
Rodriguez comes upstairs and gets Murphy for the first out.
So Murphy chased a high one here. It happened. But the most important thing is, like our conversation we had earlier, Gary, in the beginning of spring, that the Mets, the one injury they could ill afford is Torres, because they really don't have another center fielder.
Well, if Scott Harrison's healthy, that gives you another option as Bay swings and misses. And you could, in a pinch, slide Jason Bay over there. He has done it before, but it's been quite a while.
Yeah, and with Harrison down, you'd lose a speed at the top.
Now, you know, Hairston is getting a little better day by day as Bay rips a base hit on the left. Martinez slow to get to it, and Bay takes a turn and holds on with a 1-out single.
Well, Jason opening up his stance again, and that ball's away. Got it off the end of the bat, which it seems that Jason has a hard time covering that outside corner.
Well, he's committed to going back to being a pull hitter this year.
Like our colleague Mr. Kiner said, who's going to join us in the third, if you're going to do that, then maybe you want to get a little closer to the plate.
Here's Ike Davis, who today is celebrating his 25th birthday. And they took a little swipe at Ike before the game. I don't know if you saw that, but up on the scoreboard they said, "Happy 30th birthday, Ike Davis." I'm assuming he took it in the good fun in which it was intended. There's the curveball for a strike, and it's 1-1. There it is. Message up on the board right before the Mets took the field today. But no worries. No birth certificate issues. He is 25.
And he seems to be playing thus far in spring with no difficulties with his ankle, which cost him pretty much all last year.
Hurt in May and never played again, and was off to a great start when he went down. There's Lucas May playing third base today and hitting 5th in the order. He's on deck. 2-1 the count to Ike. There goes Bay. The pitch is a ball, and Bay steals the base. Second stolen base for Bay. He had one Tuesday night against Washington, and now he's got his second.
Well, Jason can steal. He's a very smart player, and he just sneaks his stolen bases. He stole 11 bases last year. He's only caught one.
And, you know, Ronnie and I were talking about this the other night as you look at Bay taking a peek back. Without Reyes, you don't have that one guy who's going to steal 50, 60 bases for you. But it'll be interesting to see how the Mets utilize the speed they have to try and maximize their opportunities.
Or will they hit and run more? I'm very curious to see. There's a ball 4 to Ike. And Wandy is really having a difficult spring, as he's got his ERA over the double digits.
So 2 aboard with 1 out.
And we'll take a look at the Houston Astro defense. And you can see right there, Mr. Castro missing all that time with a torn ACL. This is really a lineup. There's not too many names out there that are familiar other than Carlos Lee at first base.
But you do have Shuck and Buck in the outfield. You just hope you don't have Duck on the mound. Here's Lucas May. May trying to win a spot on the Mets bench. He's versatile. He's playing third base today. In his minor league career, Lucas has played every position other than second base. He's even pitched a little bit. Last year in AAA, hit .238 with 10 home runs. Had a couple of AAA stops last year. You saw his Reno numbers. 2 on and 1 out. And the curveball from Wandy bends in for a strikeout and 2. For Wandy Rodriguez, his time in Houston may not be long. He's one of the very few Astros who is signed for next year. He's making $10 million this year, $13 million next year, and there's every chance that if the Astros find a taker, that Wandy might be dealt. A ball and 2 strikes, certainly for a contending team. That would be a nice quality left-hander to plug into the bottom of the rotation.
Absolutely. It's just hard to imagine him paying, this is not a disparaging comment, but $13 million.
Wow. Well, I think that's why the Astros would be interested in trading him. Here's the 1-2, and it's taken high. But the Astros did something very interesting with their rotation before they even started the spring, and that is they took a guy who gave them more than 200 innings last year in Brent Myers, and they moved him into the closer role.
They certainly did, and that opens up a lot of the bottom 2 of that rotation. I mean, I like the top 2. I like Bud Norris. I think he throws hard. He's got a good live arm. Strikeout guy.
Breaking ball in for a call, third strike. And so May down looking. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Wandy.
Well, that was basically a hanging breaking ball there on the back door. I think he might have thought it was high. Disagree. But you got Jay Happ,
who is being lit up this spring.
Yep, he won 6 and 15 last year. But you know, with teams that his ERA was over 5. The other you got Jordan Lyles, Kyle Wellen.
Well, they brought in Livan Hernandez, who I think they hope will take that 4th starter's job and at least give back some of those innings that you lose when you move Myers to the bullpen. Vinny Rocchino trying to find the middle, cut off by Sanchez, and Lee had vacated the bag. They weren't going to get Rocchino anyway, and the Mets have the bases loaded. Sanchez with the extension keeps a run from scoring. Bay holds a third.
Well, the old Baltimore chop up the middle. Nice range displayed there by Sanchez, and Carlos Lee was anticipating the ball getting through. And that shows just a little bit of inexperience as a first baseman.
So now the base is loaded with 2 down, and Rob Johnson will step in. Johnson doing the catching today, 3 for 15 on the spring, including a home run. The Mets have hit very few home runs this spring. This is their 18th game, and the leadoff homer by Tejada here in the first, just their 8th home run. A chance for more now against Rodriguez, and it's taken on the outside corner of strike. Johnson in the competition for the backup catching job, but the way Mike Nikias has swung the bat this spring, you have to think that Nikias is going to be that guy.
And Terry Collins likes Mike Nikias. I likes him a lot. Likes his attitude, his work ethic. A good teammate, team player. I still believe that, you know, I think 11 pitchers and you can have 3 catchers. Have a third catcher who's always your defensive specialist, and then have your second-string catcher, is more of a bat. I just think that just hamstrings managers too much with 12 pitchers.
I think that ship has sailed. I don't think you're ever going to get back to 11.
I hear you.
Outside of Johnson is 2-1. I mean, remember when you were playing, teams would routinely carry 10 pitchers, and they'd leave spring training sometimes with 9.
9 because of the off days in April. And the fifth starter would always stay back in extended spring training or go down to AAA and pitch and would get called up in the latter part of April.
But I agree that because teams now carry 12 pitchers routinely, that drops in for a strike, 2-2 to Johnson. It really hamstrings a National League manager. You have only 5 bench players routinely, and
then you can't use your other catcher.
And that's why versatility is so valued now. If you have a guy who can play multiple positions, it is such an asset, particularly for a National League team. Breaking ball low, and now full count to Johnson. Randy Rodriguez doing a lot of hard work here in the opening inning.
Well, let's see what he features here. Bases loaded, full count. Is he going to try to throw a little wrinkle? He's having a hard time getting his curve over. He's been up with his breaking ball this inning. And a lot of times in this situation, the pitcher thinks he can throw a get-me-over breaking ball, and you can get hurt doing that.
Bay, Davis, and Rotino, the base runners, will get set to run with 3 and 2 and 2 down. And it's outside and low ball 4, and that forces home a run. So Rodriguez issues his second walk of the inning. Johnson gets an RBI, and it's 2-0 New York. And that'll bring the new Houston pitching coach Doug Brocail out of the dugout to talk to Rodriguez.
Well, Brocail had pitched for with the big club, Houston. The big guy.
He had a long big league career, came back from all sorts of injury problems to pitch till he was past 40. Brocail now new on the scene with the Astros. Well, I'll tell you what, they've got new in just about every position of authority except for the manager, Brad Mills, the holdover. So Wandy Rodriguez, who gave up 7 runs against the Braves his last outing, in deep difficulty here in the opening inning of this game. Matt Dendecker bats with 2 out and the bases still full. Dendecker 3 for 16 on the spring, and he swings with the first pitch fastball.
And he's another young kid here that's got a future. He bulked up a lot on the offseason. He's a lot bigger this year than he was the last couple years he's been to spring.
17 home runs overall in the minors last year between St. Lucie and Binghamton.
He's got a chance to be a good player. He's got a chance to make it.
Well, he's got the defensive skills.
Yes, he does.
Those are big league caliber now.
And he can run. It all boils down to can you hit. That's what it's all about. You know, and that's the dividing line right there.
Of course, Matt's had a lot on his mind. You know, he's a University of Florida guy. He and Tebow are pretty tight. He was not thrilled about Tebow going to the Jets.
How about that move?
As a Jet fan, I can't fathom it. Why would you put that kind of crimp in Sanchez as the 0-2 after you just gave him a big contract? I guess the bluster wasn't working for the Jets, so they're going in a different direction.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah,
it's not a good clubhouse. I don't like all the little backbiting that's going on with that team.
30th pitch of the inning. Rodriguez to Dendecker, and the breaking ball bounced over the mound. Tough play for Altuve, and he throws out the speedy Dendecker by just a half a stride. Mets get 2 runs in the opening inning. The keynote delivered by Ruben Tejada. Not quite as little as he used to be. 1 career home run, and that impressed Wandy. Surprised him, too.
Bring the family to
Nothing lead as we go to the second inning. R.A. Dickey had a very easy first through just 8 pitches to get the side in order. Carlos Lee will lead off the second. Carlos now 35 years old. Hit .275 last year. Raised that on-base percentage considerably. About 50 points higher last year than the year before. And Dickey throws the knuckleball inside for ball 1. This is the last year of Lee's contract. He takes a strike 1-1, and really he is all that is left from the powerful Astros teams of a few years back.
He's not a guy for a power hitter, and he had an off year offensively last year. I mean, he played in 155 games and only hit 18 home runs. But he doesn't strike out. And he struck out 60 times last year in 585 at bats. That's pretty doggone good for a power hitter.
Now has 349 career home runs. And he takes it wide for ball 4. So Dickey, looking down at his hands, issues a leadoff walk to Lee. And the Astros have their first base runner. Now Travis Buck, former #1 draft pick of the Oakland A's. Never made much headway there. Now trying to find a spot with the Astros after playing last year in Cleveland. Buck watches the knuckleball flutter away for ball 1.
For the RA's pitching, he's like Dylan G on the first base, extreme first base side of that rubber. Good knuckleball there. You know, and one thing about RA, and much like Phil Niekro, is the Hall of Fame knuckleballer. When you throw a knuckleball, you can't be from the stretch, the runner on first, even though Carlos Lee doesn't steal bases. You can't be slow home because they'll steal your pants. They'll steal you blind. And Dickey's very quick home, much like Phil Niekro was.
You don't want them stealing your pants.
I know.
You end up like Steve Lyons.
I corrected myself. Thanks for bringing attention to it.
Off the corner 2-2. You didn't think I was going to let that pass, did you?
It's nice to work with you again.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was a pleasure to work with Kevin.
Kevin's relaxing at home now. Must be happy. Swing and a miss, and Dickey gets fucked with the knuckleball. First strikeout for R.A.
High knuckleball didn't do much. And got away with it.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Jimmy Paredes. Paredes in a battle for the third base job with Chris Johnson. Johnson the holdover. Paredes played a lot late last year. Hit .286 and 168 at bats for the Astros. Gets one down. Dickey looking at second, and on the slow-footed Lee has plenty of time to get the out there.
Well, nice heads up by R.A. Not a good drag bunt. Should I say drag bunt? I think I'm going to continue to say drag bunt. Good presence of mind to get the slow runner.
But that clearly was not a sacrifice.
No.
It wasn't a sacrifice situation. But if you're Paredes, you got to know that Carlos Lee is running at first base, and that the most likely outcome is going to be exactly what happened. That even if you lay down a good bunt, that they're going to get the force.
Well, to me, spring training is about getting your swings in and getting your timing. Heck with the bunting. To me, that's just a wasted at bat. You want 4 at bats, whatever you're going to get up today. You want to work on your rhythm and your timing.
Jason Castro, who missed all of last year with a torn ACL, and then when he came back in the Arizona Fall League, he broke his foot and had to have surgery on his foot in December. So he is well behind the 8 ball, and yet he's had a pretty good spring. Figures to be the #1 catcher for the Astros with Chris Snyder as the backup. And that's a good situation for the Astros because Snyder's a guy who, if Castro falters, is capable of playing every day. They had Humberto Quintero, but they just traded him the other day to Kansas City to bring back a prospect pitcher. Castro, former first-round draft pick out of Stanford, goes out swinging at the fastball from Dickey. So R.A. walks the leadoff hitter, fans a couple, and gets through the second unscathed. We go to the bottom of the second, 2-0 New York. In the second inning. RA had 8 hits last year. Let's see his lifetime numbers. Not bad for a pitcher.
He has an idea up there. He's a cut and slasher. And you got a chance. He stays level on that pitch upstairs. And that's the hitting the fly ball. He hits the line drive.
Wandy Rodriguez trying to settle in after a 30-pitch first inning. 2 balls and a strike to Dickey with Ruben Tejada, who homered his first time up, waiting on deck. And it's smashed the other way, and a base hit for Dickey. There's your cut, and there's your slash.
You got it. Nicely done right there. A little inside out, short stroke.
Whose book is coming out in a couple of weeks. Then later this summer, the movie is coming out. That's a multimedia guy now.
Hey, the guy that career was just about over. How about that? What a turnaround.
It's been quite a story, and of course, all of his interesting off-the-field doings only add to the story. The climb of Mount Kilimanjaro for a great cause this past winter, and he's unique. He is a baseball renaissance man, as Ruben Tejada takes a strike. Let's have more than their share of those, you know, with Miguel Batista and R.A. Dickey in the same clubhouse. Got guys who can write books and go on adventures.
Well, you know, after baseball, you got a whole second half of your life to live, you know.
But most guys wait. These guys are doing fascinating things while their careers are still going on. Charlotte Lee in for a conversation. But, you know, most guys who write books, particularly while they're playing, they have a ghostwriter who does most of the work. In R.A.'s case, he had a great partner in Wayne Coffey, but R.A. wrote about 95% of it himself. Can't wait to read it when it comes out. Should be out right about this time next week. Taken for a strike by Tejada, 1-2.
Well, Wandy right here, Rodriguez is not going to throw that first pitch fastball to Tejada. This at bat, first at bat, the leadoff home run, first pitch of the ball game. Fastball up and out of here. First baseman, we always like to talk over there. I used to always want to find out about the hitters and how they felt at the plate, and they told me they weren't feeling good in the slump. Well, I felt like I was military intelligence there, getting some valuable information.
A little reconnaissance. But nobody ever told you the truth, did they?
Well, you'd be surprised. You get some people a little goofy.
You know, loose lips.
Think.
Ships. I mean.
Not pants, ships.
No, that's right. But you'd think that most of the guys you meet at first base would know that, not give anything away. Curveball bends around the plate. It's 3-2 to Tejada. But you were sneaky.
I was very sneaky. Friendly.
Well, that'll do it.
Wasn't torture. I didn't extract information by torturing them.
You weren't Sean Casey friendly. You were the mayor. Just friendly enough, right?
Yes.
3-2 to Tejada, and it's low ball 4, so the Mets have the first 2 men on, and Wandy Rodriguez's troubles continue.
Well, we mentioned earlier that David Wright got in the batting cage and took BP for the first time since hurting his abdominal muscle, and he talked afterward about how it felt.
Yeah, I feel good. I've been in the cage for a little bit of time now, so today was the next step in going on the field because it's a little more energy. You exert a little more, so I felt good and heading in that right direction. So I did a full day with the guys today, so I need to probably do that for a few more days. And this is kind of like at least in my eyes, this was kind of like the first day, for me for spring training. Going through everything from stretch to to the conditioning. So, I feel good, and like I said, heading in the right direction.
Daniel Murphy pops one up. In comes the left fielder Martinez to call, and that's the first out. So Murph swinging at the first pitch with 2 men on, flies out.
But I think that David has taken a very cautious approach, and the Mets have taken a cautious approach with him about returning from this abdominal injury. I talked to David the other day, and he said his natural inclination is to go from 0 to 100, and is taking it very, very slowly and realizing that they still have enough time to have him ready by opening day.
He's got 2 weeks, 14 games to get his stroke going, so it's good that it happened early in spring, not in the middle, obviously, or late.
I thought what David said the other day about what he needed to be ready was interesting. He said it wasn't about the number of at-bats. He said it was more about just being on the field and getting into the ready position and getting up and getting down and getting sweaty and getting sore and all that, and that was actually more important than whatever number of at-bats he got in games. He felt as though he could always go over to the minor league side and get 10 at-bats in one day if he needed to.
Right, and also, most importantly, you don't want leg injuries, because when you get a leg injury, you can't run and you can get out of shape. And David had an upper body injury, obviously, and he's able to still condition as far as running and sprint.
Toward the hole, backhanded by Sanchez, gets the out at second. Altuve with a nice turn, and they get the 6-4-3 double play. A little Jose Altuve, just 5'6", and he showed some quick hands in the middle of that twin killing. When we come back, Hall of Famer Ralph Kiner joins us as we go to the third.
Nothing beats the fun of watching a Mets game.
morning at Digital Domain Park. The Mets with a 2-0 lead. R.A. Dickey's pitched 2 fine innings, and joining us for the third is Ralph Kiner. Ralph, how you doing?
Well, compared to what?
Compared to yesterday.
Everything's fine now. Everything is very fine, and it's good to see you back in action here, Gary, and starting the new year. It's going to be an interesting year. It's going to be a hard year. It's going to be very tough. But they're going to come back now, and that February verdict at this well pond Scott was a open door for future great things.
All right, Dickey facing Jose Altuve leading off in the third. Well, this is the 50th anniversary year, Ralph, and of course the Mets and Astros came into the league together in 1962, and after the 50th anniversary season, the Astros they're leaving the league.
You know, actually, right. The interesting thing about the Astros, they actually had a minor league team the year before the Mets started, and that gave them a little bit of an edge, but they have never reached the pinnacle that the Mets have reached, and compared to the two teams.
Of course, the Astros dominated the Mets in those early years. Of course, they weren't the Astros when they started. They were the Houston Colt 45.
Well, the year the Mets won in '69, never won a game in Houston. They had a tough time with that ball club.
Right, the Astros beat the Mets 10 of 12 that year in '69.
And that would have been in the Dome, the Astrodome then. I know growing up in San Francisco, Ralph, the Giants lost many a pennant to the Dodgers because they could not win in the Astrodome.
Really?
They were a team that was based on power, and that big ballpark was a big neutralizer, and it was on there. I mean, that was the one when I was a kid growing up. They televised that series always in Houston and Dodger Stadium. And I remember when they went in there late one year, and I said they're not going to make it, and they didn't. They got swept, and that was it. The Dodgers won. I forget what year it was. It was the Koufax Drysdale era of the Dodgers when they
65, 66
yeah.
in there. Yeah.
How about the Troy Cannon at the Astros?
Jimmy Wynn.
All those home runs, right? Where he hit 36 in that big dome.
And he was a little guy.
Yep.
On the outside corner, and Dickey gets Altuve looking at the knuckleball. It's 3 strikeouts now for Dickey.
Nope. Already looking very straight, Chris. Hard knuckleball too. A little mustard on it.
But Ralph, even before the Astrodome, the Astros played in that, was it like an outdoor minor league park right next to where they eventually built the Astrodome?
Yeah, that's where the mosquitoes were as big as the B-29.
So my dad said. He said he never saw. My dad played in Houston at Buffalo Stadium, and he said he never saw mosquitoes as big as that.
And somehow the system of it was really important there.
But the Astros did not play in Buffalo Stadium.
No,
it was another ballpark.
No.
I forget the name of it.
I'm not sure what they called it. But I think they called it Colt Stadium, didn't they, when they first started?
I think so.
Yeah.
Houston Colts, yeah.
What's inside? In fact,
that was named after Colt 45, the gun.
Right. And in fact, there's a bit of a controversy in Houston this year because they want to use throwback uniforms for the 50th anniversary this year, and there was a question as to whether they were going to put the Colt 45, the gun, which was on the original uniform, on the uniform for the recreation.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the other franchise that changed their name was the NBA, the Baltimore Bullets, had to change their nickname.
Wandy Rodriguez pokes one over to left center, and over comes Bay to grab it. 2 out.
Baltimore Bullets is back in the day when they had Earl Monroe was the star, and Gus Johnson.
Wes Unseld.
Yep.
Kevin Loggery.
Yep.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now J.B. Shuck.
Well, the whole thing with Houston when they started up was Judge Hofhans. And he was the guy that was the judge in the city there, and he was the guy that thought of the Astrodome, and was the guy that got it started. And that was the first indoor stadium of all time, and it was billed as the 9th wonder of the world.
I didn't find it so wonderful myself.
I didn't either, and up at the very top, remember they had the apartments up there and people actually lived there?
Judge Hoff finds that in the
Why in the heck would you want to live?
Alley, his office was up there, everything else was in his favor.
Lucas May takes charge of that weak pop-up, and Dickey looking splendid gets the Astros 1-2-3.
Bring the family to Citi Field.
Ball Award was a huge success, helping 6 local youth baseball leagues pay for much-needed improvements. This season, it's your turn. Help your youth softball or baseball league with a $5,000 grant. Apply for the SNY Play Ball Award today at sny.tv/playball. Home third inning, Mets with a 2-0 lead, and the birthday boy Ike Davis leads off against Wandy Rodriguez, who has staggered through his first 2 innings of work. Ike drew a walk his first time up.
Well, Ike, for a young hitter, is very selective at the plate, has a good eye, good patience. Just sometimes I think he gets a little bit home run happy, and he lets that pitch outside corner. He takes it a lot, and we know that he has the ability to go the other way, and I know he probably feels that, you know, the Mets need him to hit home runs. Particularly with Wright not in the lineup, but even with Wright in the lineup, there's not a lot of power on this Met ball club. So I just don't want to see him get out of his game and get in bad habits and pull too much.
Well, I think the one positive of moving the fences in this year is that you can be less conscious of home runs and still hit them, and you know, not get out of that good hitting groove.
You know, having been a home run hitter,
Castro squeezes it, 1 out.
The thing about hitting home runs, if you can't hit a lot of home runs, I'm talking about 40 or so, you're much better off to go the other way and be a singles hitter or a doubles hitter or whatever is going for you. I mean, 20 home runs is not a lot of home runs. And they call people home run hitters, they hit 15 to 20 home runs. You're not a home run hitter. Hit 40, 50.
It's not a lot for you.
Well, it's not a lot for anybody. I don't care. Babe Ruth was a home run hitter. Lou Gehrig was a home run hitter. Hack Wilson was a home run hitter. Hank Greenberg is a home run hitter. They're home run hitters. They hit them 50.
So, Ralph, where's the line of demarcation? You think 30 and up?
Well, 30's not bad. I mean, okay, 30's okay.
I would like to have hit 30 one year. Were you saying I'm a pin hitter?
If I'm near degrading home run hitters, when you talk about Davis being a home run hitter, he can hit the ball a long way.
Yes, he can.
But he doesn't do that often.
Well, I don't think we've seen yet from Mike exactly what he's going to be.
Capable of.
I mean, he hit 19 his first season, and last year, I think he was going to hit a lot more than that if he had played the whole season.
You got to do it before you can call yourself a hitter that hits home run. Home run hitting is the toughest job in baseball.
Lucas May hits one off the end of the bat. And Shuck over in left center grabs it, 2 out.
Ralph, were you in your Pittsburgh teams, were you the sole supplier of the power of that team?
Yes, and the only other, well, I had Greenberg in 1947, but he had 58 home runs, but not with us. He had 25 actually with us his final year in baseball, but he was a home run hitter. But Wally Westlake was my backup man, and Wally was about a 15 home run hitter or somewhere right in that range. One thing about home run hitting, when I was hitting home runs, Wally Westlake was the on-deck batter and hit behind me, was always knocked down by the pitcher after I had a home run. He came to me and he said to me, "You got to stop hitting home runs. I'm getting tired of going in the dirt." I said, "Wally, it ain't going to happen."
I don't know why they took it out on him.
So, Mike,
well, they always did.
But
you hit a home run, and everyone had hit a home run. The next batter would go down.
But they didn't hit you the next time around?
No.
You hit one?
No.
I never could figure that one out. You know, you always hit the guy behind him. What did he do? He's just in the on-deck circle.
That's what Wally said.
I mean,
why told me? I didn't do it.
I mean, the pitcher hits one of your players, you hit their best player. Why not hit the pitcher? You know, you throw at my guy, guess what? You're going to get drilled, pal. You got to hit. It's the National League.
Well, payback is the main thing, and they want to make sure the next batter didn't hit a home run, so they'll knock him down. So they're not going to do it again.
So my question to you is, did you feel, I know they weren't good teams in Pittsburgh, did you feel pressure to have to hit the long ball, and did that bother you, or you just took it as a grain of salt?
No, it was the other way around. The only thing that gave me an incentive to play baseball was to hit a home run. And the whole thing, well, actually, I could cut down and rather take singles. I don't want singles.
Eddie Rosino hits one out to left. Should be enough room for Martinez, and that retires the side. So Wandy Rodriguez, with his best inning so far, gets the Mets 1-2-3. We sail into the fourth, 2-0 Mets. Pitching from Johan Santana yesterday. Johan went 6, didn't allow a run for the first 5, and R.A. Dickey backing that up today with 3 hitless innings. Angel Sanchez leads off and takes the fastball up and away for ball 1. Sanchez competing for a backup infielder job. Jed Lowry, the former Red Sox infielder, will be the starting shortstop for the Astros this year. But Sanchez played a ton last year, almost had 300 at-bats for a team in transition.
You know, Keith, you were talking about David Wright and missing games. The one thing about David Wright I would have done if I were he, I would have said one thing. I'm going to come into spring training and I'm going to try something different and try to hit back the way he did in the beginning of his career. But he didn't get that chance. And experimentation in spring training is what most really good hitters try and do. They try something different that might work and find out what it did. You got 30 days that you basically don't have to worry about batting average or anything else or driving in runs.
And there's ball 4 right there. And Ralph, when you say David going back to when he first came up, you mean driving the ball in the right center field?
Well, that, and on top of that, they get the swing back and they find out why he's striking out so much. He strikes out way too much for the type of hitter he is.
Here's J.D. Martinez with Sanchez at first. Second walk given up by Dickey. Martinez hit a comebacker his first time and takes the knuckler inside. Well, when you were in spring training, Ralph, did you experiment a lot?
Yes, very much so.
Really? Give me an idea what you would try.
Well, first of all, I tried to use a heavier bat so I could enlarge the sweet spot in the bat.
Murph with a toss, Tejada with a turn, and the Mets turn the 4-6-3 double play, 2 out.
But I would try different positions in the batter's box. I would try to do different things. I would try to think about just changing something and see what happened and what it worked and what it did to my approach to hitting.
When you're hitting 45, 50 home runs a year, why did you feel you needed to?
Well, just to experiment. I mean, spring training, you get in shape as a hitter in maybe a week. I mean, you really don't need all those games to play. So why not find out something? See how first of all, I talked to people like Ted Williams. I talked to people that were really good hitters, find out what they did. If they did something different than me, might be the position in the batter's box or whatever it might be, I would try.
And that is one thing right there, Ralph, is that I think it's kind of missing today. You always want, and you see the pitches by R.A., very efficient, is you want to ask the good hitters what their approach is, and you just pick their brain.
May throws out Lee. Another good inning for Dickey. Still 2-0 Mets.
BP wearing a GoPro camera attached to his equipment, providing us with an inside look from a major leaguer's point of view. To learn more about GoPro's products and how to capture your own sports memories, log on to the world's most versatile camera. Be a hero. GoPro. Rob Johnson leads off the home fourth inning. Walked to the bases loaded, the drive and a run in the first inning. Wandy Rodriguez finally settled in the third inning and got the Mets out 1-2-3 after a shaky first two. And Johnson strokes one foul, 1-1. You know, Ralph, we were talking earlier about home run hitting, and you played in an enormous ballpark at Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, and obviously hit a ton of home runs. Nobody talked about ever moving the fences in there, did they?
Well, they did one time. Yeah, they moved them in to a normal distance. But center field was 457 feet away.
Is that after they moved them in?
No. Well, yeah. That it's out in center field. It's out.
So what did they shorten up?
Shorten up down the lines. It was 360 down the lines with a big scoreboard on top. And they shortened it up to 335, which is a normal distance. And they did that for Hank Greenberg. And they called it Greenberg Gardens. And when he left after 1 year, they called it Kind of Scoring. That's when the name of my show was Kind of Scoring.
That was a big thrill for me, Ralph, when I got on your show for the first time.
Well, you wanted the money.
Well, I like that $100 bill you gave me, yes.
It wasn't just Ralph's good company.
Show. It took me like 4 years to get on the Ralph show because I was thinking it up my first 3 years in the big leagues.
Den Decker with to the board. So Rob Johnson with a walk and a single today. So you actually appeared on the show as
a card. I was looking at the monitor. It was on TV. It was like a studio. I was 22 years old. Whereas in New York, you don't have that in St. Louis. I remember the studio was right next to the Met clubhouse.
That's right, yeah.
Yep.
That was in Shea Stadium.
Shea Stadium, yes.
In the old Polo Grounds, the studio was down underneath the stands, and it was really a terrible place.
Slash down to third. Paredes can't make the play, and the Mets have 2 men off.
Trying to throw the ball too soon and never really got the grab on the ball he needed.
I think he was a little bit uneasy about his backhand here. Took a funky hop, too.
Took a little spin off the grass. But, a play like that with Den Decker running out of the left-hand batter's box and slashing that ball, there's no way you're doubling him up. So you're better off just
get the lead runner.
Yeah. So now Dickey will go up there looking to bunt them over. Dickey had 9 sacks. Who had so much trouble last year. Dickey was probably the best of the group. But pitchers bunting is a huge point of emphasis for the Mets this spring because it was such a difficult situation last year.
They put a lot of pressure on already. What a perfect bunt.
So they run the wheel, but they still have to go to first with it. Well, you run the wheel, you hope that they bunt it right to the third baseman. Dickey did, and Paredes still have to go to first with it.
Well, you got to hope. You always want to bunt it down the third base line. Deadening. R.A. does a beautiful R.A. job of deadening that bunt. Otherwise, they had to play at third.
You got catcher Rob Johnson running from second to third. But the Mets still able to move the runners. 5-4 on the sacrifice.
They'll bring the infield in. Middle infielders are kind of halfway. Corners in.
Well, Tejada's already taken Wandy deep. He might just pitch around him here. He walked him his last time up after Tejada hit the home run in the first inning. I'm only being slightly facetious there. It's taken low for ball 1.
Very critical, and Tejada does show tremendous patience at the plate for a youngster. A good eye, and there's the defense right there, the infield, you notice. Corners in, halfway up the middle. You know, a pitcher that's struggling to get his breaking ball over, and he's in a hole right here, and he tries to throw that curveball, and it's in the dirt. You take it, you got him 1-0, and he's having trouble finding the plate. And you're in fastball.
good stop by Castro.
You know, Tejada finished up this season hitting the ball raw. And that was a big thing for him. He showed signs of real good improvement.
Yeah, his biggest struggle last year was in the middle of the year when he was playing every day and he appeared to wear down.
It looks like when he gets tired, the bat swings him. And he's not going to be a power hitter. He's just got to hit line drives. Run would be a big plus for him.
Those are the things you do when you're not a home run hitter.
Exactly.
Well, what you were talking about, Keith, is so essential for Tejada. He had the relatively high on-base percentage last year. That's what makes him an attractive offensive player. And when he was struggling last year, he was swinging at pitches out of the strike zone, and he was really having a tough time staying in that mode of being a patient hitter.
Yeah, but all in all, you know, his average was up, and he had a nice season last year.
And it's easy to forget, Ruben is still only 22 years old. So he's at a very young age established himself. Rounds one down to third. Paredes will come home with it. And Johnson gets himself in the rundown.
Nice rundown.
With the tag, and they get him out fast enough so Tejada can't get to second.
Now that is as good a rundown as you're going to get in a situation like that. You got one throw basically to catch it to the third base. It doesn't allow the runner to advance.
The one thing about that is you close up the gap, and that's the one thing you have to do.
And you notice what the third baseman Paredes did right there. Makes the play, and he closes, like Ralph just said. That tightens up the distance. Now Tejada has no chance to advance in the scoring position. That is excellent fundies.
So 5-2-5 on the fielder's choice. Now runners at first and third with 2 out. And here's Daniel Murphy, who struck out and fly to left. Again, first pitch swinging up the middle, past Sanchez and into center field. Dendecker comes home, and it's 3-0 New York. And I'm used to seeing that with Murph, with 2 at-bats in a row. With runners in scoring position, he goes after the first pitch, and this time it pays off.
A little breaking ball away, he stays in. The Mets have been kind of just getting a lot of ground balls in the right spot here.
You know, the thing you talked about earlier was the fact that Murphy ought to be a third place hitter.
Yep.
He makes good contact, hits the ball sharply all the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. And he is a type of hitter you want batting third.
I agree. And your third hitter traditionally is your best average hitter. He's an RBI guy, and he's also a guy that gets on base for the big guys behind the 4, 5, and 6 hitters.
Well, if David Wright were to miss time, you figure Murph would move into that third spot in the order. Jason Bailey third today, but I mean that's going to be David's spot when the season begins.
Yes.
You know, technically you want the third base hitter to hit the ball the majority of the time, make contact. And David Wright strikes out too much to be a third base hitter.
I think that if Murph's hitting third, a left-hand hitter, I would like Wright hitting cleanup, and Davis, a left-hand hitter, hitting behind Wright in the 5th spot.
Absolutely.
And you put base 6. You got a nice left, right route down the order.
Well, that's the plan, is to go left, right. With, I mean, Terry is expecting to have Wright third, Davis 4th, Bay 5th, and then Duda 6th. But again, the problem is that you look at the composition of the starting lineup, and it's hard to see a different configuration where somebody else hits number 2 if Torres isn't playing.
You know, one thing about Jason Bay right here, he's so far from the plate and he's so open. There's no way in the world he's going to hit home runs except to the opposite field. And he isn't that strong.
Or he's going to hit the hanger, Ralph, the mistake.
And that's right. I mean, he's going to hit anything inside he can hit, but he's not going to be able to handle the outside pitch.
There's ball 4, so the bases are loaded.
He does have a good eye. He gets a lot of walks, and no question about that.
The thing about it is, Ralph, what's funny is if you look at the stance that Jason's using now and his placement in the batter's box, that's pretty much where he was when he was playing in Boston and hitting 30 home runs.
Well, he had the big advantage in Boston with the short right field fence, a green monster. But he's had some real problems in his career as a Pittsburgh Pirate. After his rookie year, he had some problems hitting the ball. And where he is standing right at this moment, he's making it tough for himself. He's creating that problem he's creating, and not the pitcher.
So now the base is loaded for Ike Davis. Ike has walked and fouled out. Wandy Rodriguez has had one clean inning, but he has been in crisis every other inning, and the Astros get the bullpen cranking.
6 hits and 4 walks over 3 2/3. That's not going to get it done.
That's already up 3-0. Davis looking for more, and Ike takes it high for ball 1. I see he's flopping along.
Yeah, my favorite. It's like follow the bouncing ball.
And a 1 and a 2.
Was that Lawrence?
That was Mitch Miller.
Mitch, that's right.
That's like the old movies.
That's was more like a 1, 2,
a 1 and a 2 and a 3. A wonderful night.
Metro doing there, huh?
Wonderful Lennon sisters. 1-1 to Davis with the bases full, and Ike takes it just inside. 2-1.
This is a backup curve. Missed inside.
That's a good pitch to hit right there. Those hanging curveballs are wonderful.
They do kind of come in like slow motion, don't they?
They say hit.
Oh, that one got away from Rodriguez, who slipped as he threw it.
Nope. He's 3-1 now. He's got to throw a strike here.
Now right here, Keith, you got to look one thing. Look fastball. Look for it right down the middle or take it.
So, okay. A lefty for me, and I stood on top of the plate. They always get in trouble. They're going to 8 out of 10 times they're going to throw a fastball away. So I'd always
moved up.
I would look at 3/4 of the plate, inner half away. Every once in a while you can look in, but this situation right here where it's 2 outs and a base hit busts the game wide open. He's going to throw a pitch away.
And he missed with it for ball 4, and that forces in a run. Second base is loaded walk of the game. That brings home Tejada, and it's 4-0 New York.
The one thing about that pitch was it was a terrible pitch. It was a breaking ball in the dirt and not even close to being in the strike zone.
That's going to be it for him. This has just been a terrible outing for Wandy.
Second straight very hard outing for Wandy Rodriguez. So he'll exit 4-0 New York. We'll be right back. Cruz comes into a mess for the Astros.
Well, hard thrower, pitched at St. Lucie and Binghamton last year. Throws in the high 90s. Great arm, but he walks 5.5 people per 9 innings.
It's Lucas May who for a strike. 5 draft this past winter, which means the Astros for him back to. He's had a rough spring so far, so it's Astros are going to keep him, but Astros Brad tough spot here to see what he can do. And that fastball dents the corner, and it's 0-2. He was originally signed by the Tigers in 03. They released him, and the Mets signed him and kept him in their system for 4 years, but didn't put him on the 40-man roster, which made him eligible for the Rule 5 draft. And that one bounces in, and Castro knocks it down.
Nice block by Castro. This is a tough one. It's a hard curve, and the all done. Castro's got a new hat going to work in here. The new logo on their hat. State of Texas with the star. They're proud of their state in Texas. The Lone Stars.
Yeah, Lone Stars state.
Down the right field side, and that'll be beyond the reach of Carlos Lee.
So I don't know if that's going to be their hat this year, but
they've certainly made changes over the years. They used to have the multicolored uniforms, and then they switched to the star and the red base color uniforms.
I like the original uniform the best with the smoking,
with the Colt 45.
So again, with the smoking gun.
Well, they're going to run that out there at some point this season to celebrate their 50th anniversary.
I don't think that's going to encourage anybody to go out and commit mayhem.
Strike 3 calls. So Cruz denting the outside black with that fastball 3 times to Lucas May and leaves him loaded. Mets add 2. We'll talk to Lucas Duda when we come back to the 5th. 4-0 New York. Fifth inning, Mets with a 4-0 lead. R.A. Dickey's been cruising through his first 4, and he'll head out there for the 5th. And as he does, we're joined from the Mets dugout by Mets right fielder Lucas Duda, brought to you by the Xerox Business of Baseball. Xerox, ready for real business. Lucas, it's Gary and Keith and Ralph up here in the booth, and we saw you go the other way against Steven Strasburg the other night, and that was pretty impressive. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he had a luckily top of a pitch, and the wind was sending me out a bit and blew it out.
You have to figure you guys are going to have a number of questions over the years, getting off to good starts in your careers. And can you learn much facing a particular pitcher in spring training?
Yeah, I think you can take. I don't think the situation-wise is going to be the same. I think he's going to pitch you different. I think he's going to try to maybe if he gets you out with a pitch and he sees that you have trouble with a particular pitch, I think he might go with it. Timing and that down.
Luke, comfortable out and right? I know you've worked there.
Yeah. I think working with Goody every day. Feeling a lot more comfortable actually. Feeling confident out there.
Lucas, the one thing about you is that both Keith and I think you have a really good short swing.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to using it as well as you can.
Playing right field, what's the biggest thing that you felt that you've needed to adjust to getting out there and playing all the time?
I think for me I'm a big guy. I'm not too fast out there, so I think my routes have to be correct and direct, and catch the balls I can and kind of minimize the damage.
Well, the main thing, Lucas, is the fact that if you hit the ball, you don't have to worry about the field.
That's a 7-time home run champion talking to you, Lucas.
I know.
I will say one thing, Lucas. That year you came up and you struggled so mightily. Oh, my goodness. I don't know how that didn't hit the guy in the end. Circle.
Evasive action by Jose Altuve. It helped him out that he's only 5'6". Otherwise, he might have got clocked.
I don't want to bring up that bad memory, but when you were going through that offer you had, that was just so. And Ralph and I we liked your swing from the get-go, and we were just concerned that you wouldn't get your confidence shaken, but and lose your confidence, because you've got the swing, and you showed a lot of mental strength to me. You were able to overcome that. And here you are starting right fielder now. Good year last year.
Yeah. That was a tough run. Nice play by Lucas. That made Luke.
All right, Lucas, thanks very much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
That's Lucas Duda. Tuesday at 1 p.m. the Mets host some division rivalry in Port St. Lucie as they take on the Braves in an exhibition game here at Digital Domain Park. Mets Braves presented by Citi Tuesday at 1 p.m. only on SNY. And the Braves making news today. Chipper Jones announcing this will be his final season.
Yes, and he's stated it before, but I think this one's going to stick. I mean, that's a Hall of Fame career, one of the probably the best Met killers in the Met history, and what a career. And he's just latter part of his career, like all of us, we start getting hurt. Not fun.
Well, the nice thing about him making the announcement now is that the Braves can gear up the farewell tour machinery that they so executed for Bobby Cox a couple of years ago. Of course, the Braves open their season at Citi Field.
They're going to have things for Chipper Jones in every ballpark.
Really? Oh, future Hall of Famer.
Okay.
About him, which is really a great. He went from to the outfield to the team player
to the infield.
And one
did the same. Chops buck in and Altuve out to make the grab.
And Pete Rose came up as a second baseman, moved out to left field, down to third base, finally ended up at first base.
Well, Chipper, remember when he first came up, was a shortstop, and then he hurt his knee and missed what would have been his rookie season. And they eventually moved him to third base. So.
He's number one selection in baseball that made it big.
And he wasn't supposed to be the number one guy. Remember the pitcher from Texas who everybody thought wouldn't sign, and Oakland drafted him like acknowledged number one pick, and his name is number one right now as Johnson grounds out for the second out. Todd Van Poppel was supposed to be the number one guy, but the Braves took this unknown kid from Florida named Chipper Jones, and it turned out to have 100 times the career Van Poppel did.
Van Poppel was Scott Boras' client, and got the big.
Well, everybody thought he was going to go to the University of Texas, and that he wasn't going to sign, but then he did. But it just didn't work out.
Van Poppel went to Oakland, right? They drafted him.
Yeah, I think it was the 14th pick, something like that. They took a shot at it, and they signed him, but never. And of course, Chipper had a magnificent career.
Amazingly, the first round pick in the nation hasn't really done that well anytime. Very seldom do they make it.
Well, Darryl Strawberry did pretty well.
Yeah, seldom. I'm going to say the majority of them picked number one as the best player in baseball. Every year they are available for the draft. They haven't done that well.
Well, of course, the Mets had that infamous pick.
Chilcott.
Right, Steve Chilcott over Reggie Jackson.
That was a bad pick. And Stengel was the guy that said that he's going to make it.
Ned Decker strikes out. It's a 1-2-3 inning for the former Met farmhand Reiner Cruz. Off to the sixth, 4-0 New York. Inning in Port St. Lucie. R.A. Dickey has been spotless so far. And Jose Altuve takes ball one. New shortstop for the Mets, Ronnie Cedeno, takes over for Ruben Tejada. By the way, if you're wondering, while the Mets have never had a no-hitter in a game that counted, they have had a couple in spring training.
And combined. And they also had that. But you know what's interesting about knuckleball pitchers? They're not really knuckleball pitchers. They throw with a finger baseball. And there have been 70 bona fide knuckleball pitchers in the history of Major League Baseball. That's all. It's a very strange pitch.
Well, right now, Wakefield retiring, and there's a fastball for a strike. Dickey is the last guy standing. The last active knuckleball pitcher in the
not minor league, not best relief pitcher with the knuckleball was Hoyt Wilhelm, and of course the guy with Atlanta and what have you, Phil Negro. He won 300 games.
But Hoyt Wilhelm, even though he was a relief pitcher, had enough starts that he actually threw a no-hitter against the Yankees.
He was a no-hitter. That one time he got a start and did that. Also had a home run.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And there's ball four, and Altuve's on. Third walk by Dickey, and all three have come leading off innings. And then, remember the Wilbur Wood, when he was with the White Sox, he started both games of a doubleheader one time.
Oh, yes. Wood didn't throw forever with that knuckleball.
This is Justin Ruggiano coming up as a pinch hitter for the Astros.
I remember when the White Sox, when they had those red uniforms, and they had Goose Gossage and Terry Forster when they were young and starters that threw bullets back to back, and they both wound up relievers.
Right.
Obviously, Goose, a Hall of Famer.
He could throw hard, I'll tell you.
Oh, Terry Forster could throw bullets. Oh my gosh.
That was before Letterman got a hold of him. Remember that?
No.
Called him a fat tub of goo.
But he was always a little bit of a load. He couldn't do the push-ups away from the table, that's for sure.
But I can imagine the contrast on that staff. You face those guys, and then you face Wilbur Wood. It's a line to the left field, and so the Astros have their first hit. Pinch hit single for Justin Ruggiano. Nice hand from the assembled fans here in Digital Domain Park. If he's going to pitch a no-hitter, he'd happily save it for April.
Yes.
Here's J.B. Shuck, who's grounded to short and popped to third, 0 for 2. But Ralph, you're talking about how there were only 70 down to Davis. He'll have to go to first with it, and Dickey gets over to cover for the first down as the runners move up. Weren't there 4 knuckleballers on one staff at one time?
The Washington Senators had 4 knuckleball starters on their staff, and they that year. Of course, the catcher was Rick Farrell. Rick Farrell's in the Hall of Fame, and he should be to catch 4 starting knuckleball pitches.
That's his best good credential.
That's how we get in, yeah.
Second and third and 1 out. Angel Sanchez takes that floater for a strike.
The year was 1945.
70 pitches now for Dickey. The bullpen's still quiet, so Gary Collins wants him to at least finish this 6th inning. Chopper, that'll get a run home. Cedeno throws out Sanchez. In comes Altuve with the first Houston run, and it's 4-1 New York.
Left fielder, number 14, J.D. Martinez.
Well, Rick Farrell's brother was Wes Farrell, and he still holds the all-time record for home runs by a pitcher.
38 home runs, and he also played the outfield, but he was a great pitcher and should be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
The home run record.
I think Warren Spahn had 37 home runs, and Bob Lemon, I think, 36. I'm not real sure.
I saw Warren hit a home run in Candlestick Park when I was a little kid.
hit sharply, and May with a nice play. He's had a good day in the field. And he throws out J.D. Martinez to end the inning. Dickey gives up a run, but the Mets up 4-1.
From spring.
Well, the new closer for the Astros, Brett Myers, will pitch in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Well, there's his numbers last year as a starter. He had one relief appearance last year. And as Gary mentioned earlier in the ball game, a bit of a surprise that they moved him out of the rotation to the closing position. He's done it before.
Did it in 07 with the Phillies. That year he was the opening day starter and wound up the season as the closer. Saved 21 games. He throws out R.A. Dickey, who takes the turn to bat here in the 6th. And not yet any action in the Mets bullpen, so it could be that Dickey will start the 7th.
Gary, I'm going to attempt to name the knuckleball pitcher for the Washington Senators. Hefner, Negrin, Leonard, and Wolf.
Well, Dutch Leonard is the only one of those 4 that I know the name of.
Really? Well, Dutch, I hit against that. That's right. He was really a tough guy. He had the knuckleball and went up.
What year was that, Ralph? 45, you said?
In 45, yeah.
Keith's got his new toy. He's got his iPad. He's going to look it up.
I'm going to look it up.
That's very nice. Very sleek. Makes you look very modern.
Well, it's very practical to have this, right, in the booths that we work in.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you work it?
I'm learning. I'm getting it. Slowly but surely. I'm going to just put in, Ralph, I'm going to Google 1945 Washington Senators. And it should bring up the roster.
You got the roster. That's right. That's where I got the information.
Oh.
Ronnie Cedeno batting for the first time. Hey, they've swapped Martinez in left field. It's the former Met Fernando Martinez now playing out there for the Astros. Cedeno bounces one down to third, and Paredes takes care of it. Off the glove of Lee, and safe at first is Cedeno. Growing pains for Carlos Lee over at first base. And that'll be an error on Lee.
Well, really no excuse for, as we would say. And not good footwork around the bag. He's an outfielder.
So 1 out and 1 on, and now Daniel Murphy, who had an RBI single his last time up, 1 for 3 on the day. The Mets do get some warm-up action going now. Young Josh Edgin is warming up, so we'll see whether he starts the 7th or whether Dickey begins the inning. But Edgin's an interesting story with Tim Burdack on the sidelines for the moment with a knee injury. Edgin, who did not begin the spring in Major League camp, has been brought over here. And I know, Keith, you've been impressed with what you've seen.
Well, he's a hard thrower, and he's got good command. And the times I've seen him pitch, which is twice, he's really painted the corners and kept the ball down. Without sounding like an idiot, Gary, I can't find the spacer on this thing. Where's the spacer?
Don't ask me. Come on.
You don't have one?
I don't have an iPad, no. Bounce toward the hole. Altuve runs it down. He'll settle for the out at first and gets Murphy 2 away as Cedeno moves over to second.
Left fielder number 44, Jason Day.
It's been a long time, Keith, since I've seen an infielder as diminutive as Jose Altuve. I mean, he's in Freddie Patek territory.
Yes, he is.
Freddie Patek, 5'4".
I mean, they list Altuve at 5'6".
I'll tell you what happened there. 1 year we had a home run hitting contest at Forbes Field, and Ted Withens and Walter Goldfall for the Red Sox. There was a guy at Westlake for the Pirates, and Patek wanted to be in the home run hitting contest.
Yeah, and how'd that go?
Funny guy, yeah. he wasn't big enough to. He did hit a grand slam home run.
Freddie Patek and Amos Otis formed a
And Amos Otis went on to play for Whitey Herzog.
Make Otis say want to play there.
He was with the Mets the early part of 1969.
Oh yeah.
But was gone by the time that team won the title. Hey, and he goes down swinging. So a good inning for Brett Myers, working around an error. Ralph for keeping us company for a few innings.
Well, it's fun to be here and be back here and
back for a look Johnson, but it's out of play at 3-2.
Now, this would be, if you're a veteran, and whether you're home or away, you would lobby the manager when you're facing a knuckleballer like Dickey. You know, don't play me today. I don't need to face a knuckleballer. There was always that old wives' tale about a knuckleballer can get you into a slump. I think most of it was psychological, but in spring training, when you're trying to find your way, you know, I wouldn't want to hit off a knuckleballer. Just let me stay back and take BP. Let me go in the backfields if we're home and take BP.
Put the minor leaguers in the lineup.
Yeah, yes. Give the kids a chance.
Or no chance. 3-2 from Dickey, and the knuckleball in for a call third strike. So that's 4 strikeouts for Dickey. 1 out of the 7th, and that's going to be all for R.A. Terry Collins getting the left-hander edge in, ready to face the left-hand hitter, and he'll bring him in right here. So Dickey, after 6 1/3 stellar innings, finishes his afternoon with the strikeout of Carlos Lee, and young Josh Edgin will come in for New York. What a job by Dickey. We'll be right back.
We're testing new degree, the only antiperspirant activated directly by movement.
No, all right, Dickey threw 80 pitches in 6 1/3 stellar innings, but didn't get enough, so he can do a little more work in the bullpen after his wonderful outing this afternoon.
Well, the only blemish is the 3 walks, and as you look at the new pitcher, Josh Edgin, he really has only had A-ball experience, and there was talk earlier that he might have an outside chance of making the ball club. But a guy with just A-ball experience, I don't think they're going to rush him, but he has impressed in open eyes this spring.
Comes in to face Travis Buck, so that's where Terry wants to see him, against the left-hand hitter, and he misses for ball 1. Well, I think for Edgin to make the team, he's going to have to just pop everybody's eyes out over the next 2 weeks. Of course, the other piece of the question is how long Tim Burdock will be out of action. Out to center field, a long run back for Dendecker, but he has room. And that's the second out of the inning. T-shirt Tuesdays are here. Just $19 get you a game ticket and a limited edition Mets T-shirt. Log on to Mets.com now and get your T-shirt Tuesday tickets while they last. Burdock is going to get the stitches out of his knee today. Had a torn meniscus, had surgery last week, and he's walking around great and looking forward to getting back on the mound. And they said 6 weeks when the surgery was first announced, but I think it could be that Burdock's back more like 4.
Well, with the arthroscopic surgeries today, I had a similar surgery when I was 19. I did a meniscus, tore my cartilage in my knee, and I got like a 5-inch scar.
Different now. And edge and slider has Paredes moving his feet and moving the bat, and that's a swing.
So with the scopes, you come back a lot quicker. That's not pretty.
Well, you know, you want to give Edge credit for the back foot slider, but that's Paredes tying himself in a knot on a pitch well off the plate. Now it's 0-2. And he got him through a fastball right by him, so that's impressive for Josh Edgen. Gets his 2 hitters on a fly ball and a strikeout, and keeps the Mets ahead 4-1. 7th inning stretch time at Digital Domain Park. Jonas Schwartz and Joe Beningo will debate this week's Sweet 16 matchups, plus bring you exclusive Mets player and coach interviews straight from Port St. Lucie on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, part of the New York Sports Local, today at 5 on SNY. Host of changes for the Astros. Carlos Corporon is now doing the catching. That's Matt Downs playing first base. Marvin Gonzalez is at shortstop, and Scott Moore at third. Justin Ruggiano now in center field, and Brad Snyder over in right, and the new pitcher, left-hander Sergio Escalona, facing Ike Davis, who tries to hold and takes a strike, 0-1. The Mets jumped on Wandy Rodriguez for 2 in the first, one of those on a home run by Ruben Tejada, and then 2 in the fourth. Astros bullpen has been better. Ryder Cruz and Fred Myers, and now one banks off the third baseman Moore, and no play for Gonzalez, and Ike Davis aboard. Well, he hadn't played perfectly off the line, but couldn't handle that one hop.
Well, third error of the ball game for the Astros. That's not. He just let the ball play him.
And Davis, on his 25th birthday, will take his exit, and Josh Satin will come in to run for him. You know, it is his birthday. They can give him a gift and give him a hit.
It's March.
Yeah.
Well, what does it matter?
He's already got an RBI today. Bases loaded walk. So Davis 0 for 2 with a pair of walks today. Now Lucas Maya for the 4th time. He struck out twice and flied to center, and takes a strike from Escalona.
Daniel Murphy there joking around with Ike.
He hits it out to right center, and Snyder drifts over, and watch out! Two outfielders come together,
That is the right fielder's ball right there.
Ruggiano almost running over Snyder, who was able to hang on to it for the first out.
That is clearly the right fielder's ball. Overzealous, he's calling for it too. But getting back to Murph turned a nice double play again today, and a ground ball he started the double play. Murph looks like he's getting a little more comfortable at second base.
And that's really all you ask, that he be comfortable and adequate, because his bat will play. There's Vinny Rotino, 1 out and 1 on. He laces one to right center for a base hit. Satin will go first to third. So Vinny Rotino has his second hit of the day, and the Mets have runners at the corners against Escalona.
Fastball outside corner, bell tie, goes right with it.
So the Mets up 4-1 in the 7th. Rob Johnson, who drove in a run with a bases loaded walk in the first inning and had a base hit in the 4th, gets another RBI opportunity. Altuve and Gonzalez at second and short, really shortened up, give themselves the option of coming home with a ground ball, which is a little odd when you've got a catcher at the plate. To be able to have faith that you can turn a double play. You see how close they are playing at second and short.
It is not what you would call double play depth.
Escalona had a pretty good year as a situational lefty for the Astros last year. He was in 49 games, 28 innings, 24 hits, only 11 walks. Very nice numbers. His first real extensive big league taste. He had a brief stint with the Phillies back in 09.
He's one of those funky little slingers. That rushing arm motion is probably more deceptive, not breaking 90 mile an hour on the radar gun, but a deceptive delivery. And he's left-handed.
And he's in the mix for the job again this year with the Astros, along with guys like Fernando Abad and Wesley Wright. Think about a team like the Astros. You lose 106 games, you're going to have competition the next spring, and they've got plenty.
They've got lots of competition for the 7 spots in that bullpen.
Brett Myers is a given. Brandon Lyon is a given. Wilton Lopez.
Wilton Lopez had a nice year. He had a nice year.
But beyond that, they could go in a lot of different directions. Brad Mills over the next 2 weeks is going to have a lot of decisions to make. 2-1 to Johnson, and that's inside. So now it's 3-1 with Matt Dendecker, the left-hand hitter, on deck.
Yeah. You send the runner? I think you send him. Stay out of the double play.
Saw that graphic a moment ago. 106 losses, worst in franchise history. Think about that. The Astros came in as an expansion franchise the same time as the Mets, and the Mets 3 times in their first 5 years lost 110 or more. The Astros never did. 3-2 now to Johnson.
Well, like Ralph said, they had a leg up on the Mets with the farm system the year prior in '61.
Got a funny history, haven't they? Never won a World Series. They didn't get to a World Series till 2005.
They lost 2, or probably the most exciting playoffs, and that you can see. The Phillies beat them,
1980,
and then the Metsies.
That Phillies series in 1980, best of 5 series, 4 of the 5 games went extra innings.
Exactly, and they would have won a ball game. I forget who it was at third base. Remember, he tagged up and left too early on a throw home, and they appealed, and he was called out. It was a critical run in that game. It was late. I forget which game it was.
3-2 to Johnson. Bounce down to third, and they make the play to second and on to first, but it's a balk, and a run's going to come in. So the Mets get the benefit of the balk call against Escalona, and that makes it 5-1.
Well, I'm going to see what he did here. I was watching the monitor.
Just didn't stop.
I guess he didn't stop. That's a little picky, isn't it?
No argument.
I just don't. Let's just see if he didn't. Well, I guess you could say he didn't stop, huh?
Well, he bounced. It was one year, was it 1987, when they called that so strictly and
yes.
The balks exploded that year? There goes Rotino. And Johnson fouls it off. Rotino taken off for third on that pitch.
That was Bob Davidson that year.
Well, it was everybody that year, but then
Bob took it to another level. Well, I like Bob.
He maintained the strictness of his balk calls.
When Bob came up his first year, I was with the Cardinals. He was really uptight, and you could get under his skin a little. I never tried to get under his skin. I got under his skin one time, but he got more comfortable in the big leagues. He's relaxed.
And Johnson laces another base hit. Rotino being held at third by Tim Tuffle. So Rob Johnson has his second hit of the game. And the Mets have runners at the corners again with one out.
Fastball down the pipe and down, and he goes down and gets it nicely, Mr. Rob Johnson. And Tim Tuffle, third base coach, wisely holding up the runner.
Johnson's a guy like Mike Nickius, who is lauded for his defensive skills, but needs to prove that he can hit at the big league level. Batted just 190 last year for San Diego, so it's an important game for him. 2 for 3, a walk, an RBI. Here's Dendecker, who would be a tough guy to double up. So again, they shorten up at second and short. Dendecker fouls it off.
Good cut.
That's 0 for 3 today. Reached on an error, scored a run in the fourth. Wandy Rodriguez lasted just 3 2/3, allowed 4 runs and 6 hits. He walked 5. His second straight disappointing start for the Astros. And more disappointing when you consider that Wandy at this point is considered the Astros ace. Maybe he and Norris are 1 and 1A. Inside hits Dendecker to load up the bases. So it's turning into an ugly inning for Escalona. An error behind him. A couple of hits, a balk, and now a hit by pitch to load him up.
Second baseman, number 6, Omar Quintanilla.
And Omar Quintanilla will come up for the first time. Looking to make something of it as Doug Broquel goes out to the mound to try and settle down Escalona, with Rotino now at third, Johnson at second, and Dendecker at first. So now Quintanilla, the former Colorado Rocky, a left-hand hitter against the left-hander Escalona.
Everybody clap your hands.
And he takes it wide for ball 1. Quintanilla played briefly for Texas last year, but spent most of the year in AAA after completing a 50-game suspension for violating the minor league drug prevention program. And the curveball drops in for a strike, and it's 1-1. So Escalona gets ahead 1-2. Rotino at third, Johnson at second, and Dendecker at first with 1 out. By the way, you mentioned our buddy Kevin Burkhardt earlier. I figured that he'd be home and frolicking in the pool. It's such a beautiful day in New York with his son Logan. But apparently he's sitting on the couch watching us, well, watching you.
Untrue. I texted him, gave him a hard time. I asked him, as you did, if you got something, you got anything better to do. And he said, no, I was out. I just stopped in and turned it on just to get a quick look and watched. I'm back out again. You think Bill Webb and Pick are watching? Ronnie?
Honest answer? to the Quintanilla. I mean, I was sitting home, earlier this spring, and
you were watching?
Helped you out with the scoring decision.
You did. You were there. I recall.
Yeah, well, some of us, have more broadened lives than others. Now the 2-2, and Quintanilla fouls it back. Did your monitor just go out, Keith?
It's come back on. It's back.
We've had some issues today. Had audio issues, video issues. When we opened the broadcast, you had this big, broad, laughing smile on your face, but nobody got to see it.
Because you were open. We started the open, and you were reading, here we are with St. Lucie, the New York Mets baseball. You were so excited. It made me smile.
Aren't you always excited when there's a baseball game about to ensue?
Yeah. It's nice to have you back, by the way.
It's good to be here. Where else would I ever belong? Seventh pitch coming to Quintanilla. And he bounces that one foul. I mean, you realize how many years you've been sitting in this booth high above what used to be Thomas J. White Stadium and is now Digital Domain Park?
Well, you've been at it longer than me, from the radio side at first, of course, and this is our 7th year together with SNY, and I started with MSG, so gosh, I've been at it well over 10 years.
Hey, when I started, you were still playing for the Mets.
I was on my last leg.
That makes me old.
You came in at 87?
89. Of course, it makes you older.
Yes, I am old.
You'll always be old.
I'm the veteran in this booth.
You're the grandfather.
Yes. That's scary.
Ronnie and I haven't quite reached that level of prominence yet. We'll give our kids time.
But I think we're all in our 50s.
Yes, we are. Ronnie joined us last year.
I'm pushing the 60 mark.
Ninth pitch coming, and the curveball pulled on a fair ball. Quintanilla with an extra base hit, and that might unload the bases. Rotino and Johnson are in. Dendecker right behind them. A bases clearing double for Omar Quintanilla. And it's 8-1 New York.
Well, I like Quintanilla very much. I think he's a decent hitter. He stays in. I think it was one of a nice pickup. It was a subtle pickup for the Mets here. Second play. That's the hit you want. It breaks the game wide open.
Quintanilla will probably open the season in Buffalo, but he'll be there for middle infield insurance if the Mets need help as the season moves along. Ronnie Cedeno figures to be the major league middle infield backup up for the second time in this game. Cedeno reached on an error his first time up. Took over for Ruben Tejada, who delivered the keynote today with a first inning home run off Wandy Rodriguez. And Cedeno's got a base hit. Quintanilla will be held at third. And so the hits just keep on coming, and the nightmare inning for Sergio Escalona continues.
Well, I'm trying to make a ball club, and this is not the outing you want. These aren't soft hits.
Well, the inning started with an error by the third baseman Moore, but then a couple of hits, a balk, a hit by pitch, a double by Quintanilla, now another hit for Cedeno. And that's going to be it. It would appear for Escalona, so he leaves after just a third of an inning. We'll come back with more from Port St. Lucie in a moment. against the new Astros pitcher Henry Sosa.
And there's Mike's numbers with Buffalo last season, and there's Mr. Sosa, Dominican Republic, 6'1". He's a big guy.
Made 10 starts for the Astros late last year after being acquired in a trade from the Giants. Nickius has had a good spring with the bat. He's hitting .263. He's hitting the ball with a little more authority than we've seen in the past. And as we've discussed innumerable times about Mike, that's where he has needed to post improvement in order to prove that he belongs on this ball club. And there's no question about his catching skills. Mets have 4 runs home here in the 7th. Still only 1 out. Slider away, 1 and 2. Nicky is the 8th man to bat in the inning. Adam Lowen is now out on deck and ready for his first plate appearance. Quintanilla at third and Cedeno at first with 1 out. So he's had quite a track last year. Played for 5 different teams. Being traded in midseason.
Ooh, hanging slider right there.
You know, our SNY audio crew does an amazing job of placing mics discreetly around the field. And you can hear Terry Collins exhorting on a mic that is right above him there. There's that microphone.
So you got to watch what you're saying.
Do you think he knows that?
Oh, yeah, I think he does.
You always have to watch what you say in front of an open mic.
Oh, gosh. I would be in trouble. I could probably lose my job.
This job?
No.
Never. 1 and 2 to Nickius. And Mike goes down swinging for the 2nd out of the inning. So Sosa comes in, Van's the first man to face him.
Well, he had some pitches to hit here, and he fouled them off. And then finally, Sosa makes his pitch. Pretty good slider right there.
So 2 out, and now Adam Lowen will be the 9th man up in the inning. Lowen getting his first plate appearance, came in to play left field after Jason Bay went 1 for 3 and a walk today. Lowen hitting a .258 this spring. And he takes low for ball 1. Lowen, the former first-round draft pick of the Orioles as a pitcher. In fact, he was the number 4 overall pick in the draft. And through arm problems and lack of effectiveness, decided to turn in his toe plate for a bat and made his way back to the major leagues last year with Toronto. And he is in that discussion for a backup center field role. He's played some center field this spring. The results, though, have been kind of mixed for Lowen out there.
No, he's not a center fielder. That's just a stopgap for the Mets. He's got a bit of a long swing.
Well, one way or another, the Mets are going to keep a left-handed bat off the bench, whether it's Lowen or whether it's Mike Baxter or whether it's somebody that they are able to acquire at the end of spring training. It's just that the injury to Scott Hairston and now the injury to Andres Torres makes it more likely that you'd like that left-handed bat to be a guy who can play center field. And so Baxter got to play there yesterday. And Lowen has seen some time in center this spring. Got tied up that time, and he went around that strike 3.
I didn't think so.
So Sosa comes in to strike out back-to-back hitters after the Mets put up a 4 spot in the bottom of the 7th, highlighted by Omar Quintanilla's bases-clearing double. And the Mets lead 8-1 after 7. We go to the 8th inning in Port St. Lucie. Mets now with an 8-1 lead. And Ramon Ramirez will take over the pitching for New York. Jason Castro leads off for the Astros. And takes ball 1 from Ramirez.
And Ramirez has had a little bumpy spring training, though, thus far. Well, actually, those were his numbers last season.
Well, there's Jordani Valdespin, and he is now playing center field. And this is a grand experiment. Valdespin, a lifetime infielder, has played virtually no outfield in his career, and he's been getting a crash course from Mets first base and outfield coach Tom Goodwin over the last couple of days after Andres Torres got hurt on Tuesday night. And right now Terry Collins just trying to experiment and see who, if necessary, can play center field in case Torres and or Hairston aren't ready on opening day.
And I think also with the loss of Andres Torres is that he can fly Valdespin.
Well, he's going to get a chance immediately, and he measures this one perfectly and picks it off for the out. That's how you draw it up on the chalkboard. You put the kid in center field and the first ball is hit to him.
The ball will find you, won't it?
Well, that's what the Mets want right now. They want as many balls hit to him as possible just to get a look.
Hey, that one looked nice and easy.
And not an easy play at all. The ball hit right over his head. So
he's athletic. He knows what he's doing. The most important thing is he can run. And again, he's having a nice spring offensively. He's really swinging the bat well. He's impressive.
He's got a little flair to him, too, as Jose Altuve takes 1-0. Valdespin has had his troubles over the course of his career in terms of, towing the line and getting along with teammates and managers, but took big steps forward last year. And this spring we've heard a lot about Jordani's improved maturity. And, it's all part of the growing process.
Well, you can always say to them, you want to get to the big leagues? Start getting along with your teammates.
But now presented with a brand new opportunity. And after all, for a young player, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, you wait for that chance to get your toe in the door, and then it's up to you to take advantage of it. And here is that toe in the door moment, perhaps, for Jordani Valdespin. Jose Altuve at the plate, walked and scored the only Astros run in the 6th. And he chases that one out of the strike zone. He's down. So Ramirez with a strikeout. 2 out and nobody on. Get up to the minute news on this week's Sweet 16 matchups, plus an inside look at the Mets and Yanks with live reports from camp in the Wheelhouse, presented by Pepsi, part of the New York Sports Local, today at 5:30 only on SNY. 2 out and nobody on. Justin Ruggiano up for the second time. He has the only hit for the Astros today. A clean single to left against R.A. Dickey in the 6th inning. Dickey went 6 1/3, allowed no runs and 1 hit. That went over the bag, and Ruggiano has the Astros' second hit. Picked out of the corner by Lowen, and Ruggiano stands as second with a 2-out double.
Well, there it is. Fastball down and in, meant to be away. Ramirez had a couple rocky outings in a row, like 3 of them, and went to Terry Collins and said he needed more work.
Well, here's the former Met, Fernando Martinez, playing against his old team. Fernando was considered the best prospect in the Mets organization for years, but every year was unable to keep himself in the lineup long enough to prove it. And with the new regime coming in, not quite as tied to the idea of Martinez as a huge prospect, it was a lot easier for them to finally say, well, it's time to cut ties. So the Mets put him on waivers. The Astros picked him up, and we'll see if Fernando can forge a healthy career in a new organization.
Well, the injuries were definitely early and often for Fernando.
He's never played more than 90 games in a professional season. It's a sharply, but right at Quintanilla, and so Ramon Ramirez with a nice inning. A double and 1 left. Middle of the 8th, 8-1 New York. To the 8th, Josh Satin gets his first at bat. Satin came on as a pinch runner, stayed in at first base, scored on a balk in the 7th inning. Facing Henry Sosa, who was impressive. Came on in the 7th to strike out the 2 hitters he faced. And now he falls behind Satin 2-0. Joe Thurston, veteran, now playing second base for the Astros. Boys, he's been around. Remember when he was such a bright prospect with the Dodgers back in the early part of the last decade, but could never stick with LA, and he has made the trek. Played in the big leagues with the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Red Sox, the Cardinals, last year briefly with the Marlins. Satin hits one foul down the right field side. Snyder over for a look, but it lands untouched amongst the bullpen crew. 2-2. But you know, persistence is important in this game, and here's Thurston at age 32, still fighting for a job, and he's got an outside shot of making this Houston team. I mean, over the course of 10 years, he's had 337 big league at bats. I mean, that's a lot of starting and stopping.
Yep.
He's also had over 5,500 minor league at bats.
It's a lot of bus rides.
And he hits 300 in the minor leagues every year. 3-2 to Satin toward the middle of the diamond, and that's a base hit for Josh Satin. So the Mets up leadoff man on the 8th. Get a one-of-a-kind look at Mets spring training with the latest news from Port St. Lucie. Insider info, exclusive interviews, and behind-the-scenes video on Mets Blog, presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. That's out their 11th hit of the afternoon. And now Lucas May, who's played the whole game at third base. If you're just joining us, today was a positive step forward for David Wright. David took batting practice on the field before the game today. Did not look limited in any way, and felt good about it afterward. As May pops one up on the left side, and the third baseman Moore makes the play, 1 out. David figures he'll have a few more days of that kind of batting practice, and hopefully by the end of the weekend or the early part of next week, he'll finally get into his first spring training game.
And another positive in today's game is the start by R.A. Dickey. That's 2 back-to-back solid starts. Santana, of course, had a terrific start yesterday with 6 innings, a 1-run ball, 6 strikeouts, and Dickey had a 6 1/3 with only giving up 1 hit, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts.
So Nice was terrific in his last start. He went 6 innings, so the rotation starting to round into form.
Pitching's the name of the game. The pitchers are going to have to pitch this year. They have to pitch every year, but
Frank Francisco, whose job will be pitching the 9th inning when the season starts, will get a 9th inning today for the Mets. As you get closer and closer to opening day, you start to play the game a little more the way you would in a regular season game. You saw Edgin come in to face a left-hand hitter today to give Terry a look at how he fared in that role. Got starters playing 6, 7 innings now, getting 3 or 4 at bats.
Start building your everyday players, start getting 3, 4 at bats. Start building it up, getting down to the wire here. Now, well, not close, but 2 weeks. But once you get down to single digits, under 10, then you start wanting to turn it on.
Vinny Rotino takes it high, and it's 2-1. Vinny's 2 for 4 today. Had an infield hit in the first, and then singled to right in the 7th. Playing right field today. Lucas Duda didn't get a full day off. He had to talk to us.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just off the plate, 3-1. But I will say this, you know, you can squeeze a few more words out of Lucas now than you could when he first came up.
God, it was like pulling teeth when he first came up.
He's still a very, you know, low-key, self-effacing guy, but a little bit more of his personality starting to shine through as the confidence builds in his ability to play. 3-2 now to Rotino. It's funny that way, isn't it? That sometimes with young players, it takes success on the field for them to fully allow their personality to shine.
Well, you know what? It's a lot of anxiety when you're trying to make a ball club and get your feet wet. When you come to spring training, the games are just as important when you're trying to make a ball club when you're young, or even if you don't have a chance. You're trying to open some.
Oh, what a grab by Moore. He gets the out at second, and that's all. But a do-or-die play by the third baseman, Scott Moore, taking a base hit away from Vinny Rotina.
Boy, that was a bullet, and this is pure reaction. That's just a fine play right there.
That's a base hit.
Yes, sir.
And Moore turns it into an out.
You know, but getting back to spring training, whether you're going to make the team, have a chance to make a team or not, it's a lot of anxiety.
Josh Tolley pinch hitting, and he takes ball one.
It's not. You can relax after you become a veteran. You know you've made the team. Then you can just kind of relax and enjoy spring training, get yourself in shape. But boy, when you're trying to raise eyebrows, everything's important.
Rob Johnson started the game behind the plate for the Mets and had a good hitting day today. 2 hits and a walk. He drove in a run, went 2 for 3. And now Tolley getting his first at bat. Sosa behind him 2-0, and Tolley to rocket out to right center. Snyder over in the gap is there, and he's got it to end the inning. A hit and 1 left. We go to the 9th. It's 8-1 Mets. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi. By Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. TV, internet, and home phone from Time Warner Cable. By Ford. And by GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. Be a hero. GoPro. 9th inning, Frank Francisco trying to close it out for New York. Marvin Gonzalez up for the first time. He drills one to right field, but overcomes Rotino to pick it off. 1 pitch and 1 hard out in the 9th inning. Gonzalez, a Rule 5 draft pick, trying to make this team. Frank Francisco signed with the Mets, 2-year deal after pitching in Toronto last year. Started the year as the closer with Toronto, lost his job, ironically enough, to John Roush, who's also now a Met. Matt Downs up for the first time. It's one deep to left field. Lowen going back, right back at the wall, and he makes a terrific catch. Nice play by Adam Lowen. 2 pitches thrown by Frank Francisco, and they've both been hit like rockets for 2 outs.
Well, Lowen, there he looks back at the wall. Nice play. There's the peek back.
Now batting number 47, Brad Snyder.
Nicely done.
Well, we're due to see a tough play for Valdespin now.
Yeah.
A bullet to right, a fly ball to the left field wall, and now Brad Snyder, the last hope for the Astros, with 2 out and nobody on. Snyder 0 for 2 with a walk, and he takes the strike. Here's your checking in around the majors presented by Citi. We mentioned Chipper Jones retiring after this year. Ryan Howard progressing, still probably won't be back till June, coming off the Achilles injury. And Davey Johnson announcing that Steven Strasburg, big surprise, will be the opening day starter for the Nationals.
That is so typical of Davey. Davey's a good judge of talent, and he throws the youngsters out there.
Well, Strasburg made the start here on Tuesday night and looked impressive, although Lucas Duda did take a knee that was all he gave up in that start.
Put finger in the dirt.
So now the Astros down to their final strike. And Snyder hits a rocket up the middle. So Francisco not exactly fooling anybody here in the 9th inning. He's given up 3 hard hit balls in a row. That's the first one to find the grass.
Did that one hit his back? I think it made contact with him.
It certainly made him duck if it didn't actually hit him.
And he did. He gave it to Valdespin. Let's see if it hit him. Nope.
Well, so there have been 3 bullets hit to all 3 fields. Now Scott Moore, who made that tremendous defensive play in the last half inning, gets his first turn at bat. And Moore takes it wide for ball 1. Tonight starting at 10:30, get continued coverage of today's Mets-Astros matchup, plus interviews, highlights, recaps, everything New York sports on Geico Sports Night, starting tonight at 10:30 only on SNY. The runner goes. The Mets will ignore him. Snyder takes second on defensive indifference. Francisco trying to put this game to bed. Not you. Not allowed to yawn.
Sorry.
Up in 3-0.
I lost my, I just wasn't thinking.
Lost your mojo. Mets will be up in Disney to play the Braves tomorrow. And then back here to play the Cardinals on Saturday. Mike Pelfrey will make that start for the Mets. Interesting revelation today that Pelfrey had been playing with something of a high ankle sprain early in the spring, which perhaps accounts at least in part for the fact that he has been getting hit very hard early in the spring. But it's going to be a very important start for Mike here on Saturday. Another hard hit ball. Moore has a base hit. That'll chase home Snyder from second base. It is 8-2. 4 batters, 4 ropes.
Well, Frank Francisco is going to be the closer here, and he's getting touched up.
Now Colin Delhomme will be the pinch hitter. Delhomme, a minor leaguer, brought over for the game today by the Astros. And he hits one in the air to right, and this should end it. Rotino is there, and the ball game is over. So the Mets with a big offensive show today and superb pitching from R.A. Dickey take care of the Astros 8-2.
Well, the most important thing is that Dickey had the great performance, the nice performance. Tejada in the leadoff spot led off the ball game with a home run, his first. So